If you've seen any footage of the new fighting game, your only move is hustle flying around. You know this game is a high octane, crazy fast game full of insane combos and maneuvers. But what if I told you it required absolutely no execution? And in fact, it was turn-based. You see, what you're watching right now, these are replays of matches. Actual gameplay looks more like this. I've heard this game described as fighting game chess, and honestly, the comparison's pretty appropriate. The way the actual gameplay works is you pick a move from your available move set, and the game will show you a prediction of what that move will do, how positive on hit or whiff or block, and then once you lock it in, the game will play out that action, and you move on to the next turn. Each turn happens when either character is capable of moving. This sounds really neat and pretty unique, but what am I looking at right now? I mean, there's so many buttons and toggles and wheels and health bars, and what is all this? Well, let's take it one thing at a time. Let's start off with the health bar. It's the most recognizable thing. It's a staple of fighting games. You get hit, your health goes down to 0, you lose the game. Below that, we can see air options. Now, air options refer to the number of aerial movements you can do before you hit the ground. So, for example, here we jump, and you see if I double jump or air dash, my air options go down. Once they hit 0, I don't have aerial movement options until I hit the ground. Now, there are character-specific options, such as, for example, Cowboy has a diagonal downwards dash he can do in the air. But generally speaking, universally, once your air options are out, you no longer have very much air mobility. Next to that, we have free cancels. This is an incredibly important mechanic and one of the ones that inspired me to make this video. But it's a little more complicated, so we'll get back to it a little bit later in the video after we've gone over some other mechanics. Next to that, we have the burst gauge. Those of you who've played Guilty Gear already have a good idea of what this does. This is keeping track of one of your most important defensive options, the burst. We'll go more in depth into it a little later in the video, but this is where we can see how much of your burst gauge you have. Down here we have the super meter. It starts at level 0 and you gain meter by either landing hits, taking hits, normal blocking hits, or parrying hits. Parrying and landing hits gives more meter than being hit or normal blocking. The first hit of a game also gives significantly more meter. This makes it a generally more offensive resource, and for that reason it's used for mainly offensive uses, which are supers and instant cancels. Supers are character-specific special moves that are usually stronger but cost meter to use. And instant cancels allow you to cancel a move you've landed in a combo with no end lag to be able to do more moves in the combo. It basically acts like a Guilty Gear roaming cancel, but we'll get into that later in the video. Here we have the Cowboy's revolver wheel. This area in general is where there are character-specific resources. Cowboy has a gun that gets 6 bullets throughout the game, and you can keep track of them on this revolver chamber. Personally, I love that design, but every character with a unique resource gets their own little resource management HUD in this area. So Wizard has a hover bar. Ninja doesn't have a unique resource, so he has nothing up here. And Robot, Well, Robot has a lot going on, and honestly, we're probably just going to address that in a robot-centric video. Now let's go back to the moves down here. These are all the options that a character can use on a specific turn. As I mentioned a little earlier, there's a prediction that plays out these moves and shows you how plus or negative they are. Meaning, if you're plus, you get to act first. If you're negative, your opponent gets to act first. On top of that, some of these moves get toggles or they get sliders that affect how they work. For example, this toggle lets Cowboy cancel into his gun draw. This slider is for walk distance. So as you can tell, at 0, Cowboy walks significantly less far than he does at 100 distance. You can also have things like aim wheels here, which you see lets Cowboy aim the lightning slash kind of wherever he wants. He also could do this with his teleport to choose where he teleports to. These sorts of things give you an insane amount of control over your character throughout a game and are what allow you to get these crazy fight scenes at the end. In the middle of the screen, we see some buttons and toggles. As previously mentioned, the lock-in allows you to confirm your selection. Once both players have locked in, we go into the next turn. Below that, we have the hold button. Hold allows you to continue the action you were previously doing. So in this case, Cowboy was walking forward. He's going to keep walking forward. If he had been standing still, he would keep standing still. If he'd been blocking, he keeps blocking. Any long-lasting action will continue if you choose to hold. Ninja, on the other hand, threw out a quick move. The move has ended, so if he holds, he just goes to doing nothing once his animation ends. Below that is the free cancel. Much like when we talked about it up here, this is kind of a complicated mechanic, and in fact, I believe the only one that's showing up in multiple places on the screen. We will get back to that. Below this, we have the flip action. Flip allows you to simply, as the name suggests, flip your character around. This can be useful to punish cross-ups, sometimes just to move yourself out of the way, if for any reason you don't have movement options. The last button down here is one you will see me use a lot during this video. This is a single player only option, which allows you to go back to the previous turn. It is ideal for content creation or for training mode purposes. But let's move past the first turn. Let's say Cowboy does a horizontal slash. As you can see, both characters' options have changed. Cowboy is able to cancel his horizontal slash into other attacks, but you'll notice that outside of teleport, he doesn't have any movement options. Some moves can be canceled into jumps or runs, but horizontal slash is not one of those. That's okay though, because we can continue the combo with a vertical slash. After vertical slash, we can see that some of Cowboy's movement options have returned. He doesn't have his grounded movement options, but he is able to jump cancel this move, so he has jump, super jump, his air dash, and of course the teleport still. These allow him to follow into the sky where he's going to combo Ninja for 30 to 50% damage because just Cowboy things. Instead of extending this combo though, let's rewind a little bit and take a look at what Ninja could have been doing during this time. Despite what it might feel like when you're getting comboed, this is still a two-player game, even when you're in disadvantage. One of the most important concepts in this game is one that will be familiar to fans of Super Smash Bros. And Soul Calibur, the DI wheel. What this DI wheel does is it gives you some control of your knockback after your hit. As we can see, we had no DI this time, and we are at the edge of the vertical slash after being hit by horizontal slash. But let's go back. What if when Ninja gets hit by this horizontal slash, Ninja DIs in? As you can see, the trajectory is no longer the same as when we DI'd out. And in fact, we barely go anywhere. So let's see what happens. Okay, we're in a different spot here, but unfortunately, we're still getting hit by this vertical slash. So maybe DIing in this case wasn't the best example, but what happens if we DI out? If we DI this horizontal slash out, you notice we go much, much further away from Cowboy than we did earlier. Now this vertical slash will not hit. In fact, many of Cowboy's moves are now missing. In order to keep this combo going, Cowboy's going to have to use Lightning Slice. Assuming we DI out, we still limit his options here. And his only moves to reach us are normal teleport, which leaves him with only 4 frames of advantage. Instant teleport, which costs a bar of meter, but gives him 10 frames of advantage. Quick Draw, which is his gunshot, which uses his character-specific resource. Or Impale, which teleports behind us, but it does end the combo right there. The logical answer here seems to be the normal teleport. It does leave Cowboy at only +4, which means only Pummel and Grab will be fast enough to connect. If we pick other options, you'll notice Cowboy gets negative frame advantage, which means Ninja will be able to act first and block or throw out their own faster move. For that reason, we'll pick Pummel. It is a close range option, but it gives us good frame advantage and lets us continue the combo. This is when we look at the big blue button on Ninja's side. This is the burst. This uses the blue bar that's right under health, and it creates an explosion around the character that knocks back any opponent hit and also makes you immune to damage for a short time. A combo breaking invincible option that knocks your opponent full screen feels very strong. So is there counterplay? Well, there are 2 universal counterplays to burst, and both are easier said than done. The first one is to simply not be in range of the burst. To see this, let's go back to when the lightning slice happens in this combo. If, instead of DIing and getting hit by the lightning slice, Ninja decides to burst, the burst will not hit Cowboy. However, Cowboy is still in range to just swing again and punish Ninja for doing the burst. You see, bursts have significant end lag, so if you don't knock the opponent back, you can get punished. And this also leads into the second universal punish, to parry it. That's right, you could parry burst. So for that, let's go back to our example where we first saw burst. So Cowboy hits with lightning slice. Cowboy teleports to Ninja. And this time, let's say instead of Pummel, Cowboy fakes Ninja might burst. In response, he's going to block high. It has to be high. You cannot block low. But if he blocks high, he will parry this burst. As you can see, the frame advantage plus 23 is very high. So we'll lock it. Burst has been parried. Everyone's popping off. The crowd is going crazy. It's time for Cowboy to punish. But wait, all of his moves are going through Ninja. What's going on here? He parried the burst. Well, like I said before, bursts are fully invincible. So you have to wait for the end lag to punish. As a result, our best option, as counterintuitive as it is to click wait and lock in. Now, because we were still plus 13, Cowboy gets the next turn, but now the invincibility is gone and Cowboy can combo with whatever he wants. This is a really big deal because bursts, they reset the combo scaling, both of DI, because DI gets stronger the more you're hit, meaning you have more control over your knockback and more chances to escape, but also damage scaling, which is the longer a combo goes on, the less damage you take. The burst resets all of that. So now Cowboy gets to hit with anything he wants for maximum damage. This is one of the worst situations you could possibly find yourself in this game. Because of this, the ability to parry the burst opens up a guessing game. Let's go back and let's say the Cowboy predicts a burst here, but a burst doesn't happen. Ninja doesn't press a button, Ninja decides he could take the hit, or maybe he fakes he's going to get his burst parried. Ninja presses nothing, and now Ninja has the advantage. So now Ninja can hit Cowboy with whatever he wants. Now Cowboy has the chance to burst, and we're back in the same situation but the other side. This is why burst is useful and also dangerous, because again, if Ninja parries here, Cowboy has no burst and Ninja gets to go to the ground for the craziest punish he can think of and gets to just go to town. It's going to do about 30% damage into some crazy ninja resets, and then you never get out of disadvantage. Does Cowboy have a way to avoid this other than just not trying to block the burst? Let's go back and check. So here we are where Cowboy predicts a burst, but Ninja did not burst. As we see, if Ninja swings, he can beat the block and punish it. But what if we use this green button called the Whiff Cancel? This also uses your burst gauge and allows you to cancel a whiffed move, like a block or a roll or even some attacks, after you've done them. Now, this is not exactly the same as an instant cancel, again, because it uses burst meter instead of super meter. But also, you'll notice the only options Cowboy has are attack options now. When you do a whiff cancel, you cannot move and you cannot block. So, in this case, that's fine. Cowboy gets to move before Ninja's dropkick connects, and he gets to punish him. But what if we go back and he had used a punch? Let's say Cowboy doesn't expect something that would lead to a parry, so he whiff cancels. But now punch is still coming. And punch is going to be faster than every option that Cowboy can pick. He can't move away and he can't block. And now he's used his burst meter. This is also a very rough situation to be in, and part of why you want to be careful when you whiff cancel. If you do end up in this situation, check to see if a flipped move might get you out. Like in this case, you are at -7 frame advantage, but you're out of the punch. In this game, a 7 frame disadvantage is kind of a big deal. To avoid this, Cowboy's finally going to use the cancel I've been teasing all video, the free cancel. Unlike whiff cancels, which we saw are used more to fix mistakes and used after you've locked in an option, free cancels are a little more preemptive. The way free cancels work is when you pick an option, if you toggle free, you will be able to cancel your move once it's locked in, as long as it doesn't hit anything. Basically, if the opponent would get the next turn, you now get a turn at the same time as them. This will use up one of your 2 free cancels up here. These come back when you either land a hit on the opponent or get hit. In this case, Cowboy uses a free cancel in order to escape a bad situation and get out of disadvantage, resetting back to neutral. However, free cancels have many more uses than that. Let's go back to this whiff cancel on the block. Let's say Ninja did dropkick, but Ninja free cancels that dropkick. This time, if Cowboy decides to backslash, Ninja has the option to block, to trade with Shuriken, or to dodge roll. Keeping in mind that the frame advantage here is for player 1. In multiplayer games, it'll be just for you, but in single player, it's for player 1. So this would mean Cowboy would have the advantage if we trade Shuriken. We're not going to do that. If we block, both characters turn green, nothing shows up here. That means both players get to move at the same time. But if Ninja dodge rolls, there is a 19 frame disadvantage for Cowboy. Cowboy might see this and decide, okay, maybe I don't want to backslash then. So how could Cowboy catch this dodge roll? Well, he could vertical slash, he could downward cleave, he could impale, or he could stinger. Now the problem is, all of these options, if Ninja decides to hold and keep doing the dropkick, which is an option after a free cancel, you don't have to cancel, but you can. Now, all of these options will still lose the dropkick. This free cancel mechanic is where most of the game's mix-ups come from. This mechanic makes the difference between the newer players and the intermediate and high level players. This mechanic led to a situation where Cowboy now has to make a choice. He has to try and figure out what Ninja wants to do. And if he's wrong, he's going to take a full combo. If he's right, depending on the option that Ninja picks, maybe Cowboy gets a combo, or maybe we go back to neutral. We've seen free cancels used for resets, and we saw them used after a whiff cancel to escape disadvantage. But there's one more important use to free cancels, and that's in neutral. For this, let's go back to the first turn of the game. Here we started with Cowboy hitting a horizontal slash. But if Ninja uses his character-specific dodge backsway, he actually gets to dodge the hit and punish with a palm strike of his own. However, if Cowboy decided to free cancel this horizontal slash, it still misses due to the backsway. But now, Cowboy is not in end lag and will not get punished. In fact, now we have a guessing game where Cowboy's pommel beats slide kick and grab, but uppercut and palm strike will beat pommel. High block will beat the palm strike and uppercut, but it'll lose to slide kick, not grab because we're out of range. Or even they could choose to do movement options. This mechanic is so versatile and usable in every aspect of the game. It is easily one of the most important and least explained mechanics in this game, and a large part of why I'm making this video. You should be using them all the time, especially since, keep in mind, if either player gets hit, the free cancels will come back. For this reason, don't be afraid to use free cancels to force your opponent into scary mix-up situations. While it's easy to get free cancels back, it's also pretty easy to run out. Let's say Ninja picks a free cancels uppercut, and Cowboy predicts it and walks backwards. Now, Cowboy's in a position to anti-air, but since Ninja free canceled, he can dodge it. Let's say Cowboy free cancels that anti-air just in case, because there are a few options for Ninja to dodge. But now, Cowboy has no more free cancels, so whatever he chooses here, he has to commit. We're going to say a horizontal slash because that move's pretty good. And Ninja knows that move's pretty good, predicts it, jumps over, and now he gets a punish. Yes, Cowboy could whiff cancel, but I want to show you the last kind of cancel, so we're going to pretend he doesn't know that. And here we're going to have a short Ninja combo because we need meter for the last type of cancels. Alright, so here we are. In this situation, we have a couple of buttons. You'll notice if we hold, we are at -13 because Ninja finishes the nunchuck jump, then lands, and then can move. However, now that we have meter, we have this instant cancel bar. This cancels the move you were doing as it's hitting. So this is something you can only really use when you hit someone, but you notice the frame advantage is now much higher. We're going to still be airborne and able to move at this point, so we can go into a different move. Admittedly, in this case, we had other options to continue comboing, but sometimes, like with Quick Slash, I might not have other options. So let's have Cowboy DI this way, just for the example. You notice this is -14, but if I cancel, I now get all of my moves back. Well, I'm still aerial, so all of my air moves back. And then I can try to combo off of that. Now, as I did this example, I realized I actually did forget about one other kind of cancel, the burst cancel. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to right here, where Cowboy could have bursted if he so chose. If Ninja thinks Cowboy might burst, but doesn't want to commit to a shield and be wrong, what he could do is also use his own burst to negate Cowboy's burst. At this point, as long as they do it on the same turn, the person who was doing the combo, so in this case Ninja, will act first and punish the burst. But the advantage of this is if Ninja was wrong and Cowboy does not burst, the combo doesn't end. In fact, Ninja can do his cool release momentum move to get over there and now do some sort of combo. The main problem here is obviously Cowboy still has his burst. This is another place where the instant cancel can be useful. Because instant cancel ends what you're doing immediately, you can react to this burst. However, you already missed the parry window. So if you block, you are now even. Every other option, if you're in range, is going to lose. Oh wait, not backsway. I'm sorry. Every other option, except a few character-specific ones, are going to lose. So in this case, actually, backsway, instant cancel with the backsway is much, much stronger than I thought it was. And now the combo actually restarts. Wait, is Ninja busted? After a revelation like that, our only move is to hustle. This is a taunt that you could cancel pretty early, but if you let it play out, it will give you a full bar meter. Useful to note is Cowboy and Wizard's taunts are absolutely the coolest looking. Ninja's taunt also puts them in nunchuck stats, which can be useful. Robot got the short end of the stick on taunts, but it exists. There's one more mechanic I want to cover really quickly. Let's go back to the beginning of this match for this. I'm going to pick a few options just to set up the concept I want to show off. So we'll do a sweep to put Cowboy on the ground. And from here, you'll notice a lot of moves just stop hitting. When you're in a grounded state, most moves will whiff, but some characters have moves that will hit grounded opponents. For Ninja, it's Stomp. For Wizard, it's Orb Lightning, so that's locked behind a super. Robot has infinity and one ways to hit you off the ground. Cowboy, it's one of his main drawbacks. He has no way to hit you off the ground, so when you're on the ground, you're relatively safe. You're going to eat a mix-up when you get up, but he can't continue the combo from the ground like Ninja or Wizard or Robot can. These should be the more important and major concepts of this game. I'm just going to rapid fire a few tidbits I didn't get around to explaining. Parry will actually cancel out free cancels. So if you parry someone's free cancel move, they lose the free cancel. Some moves wall bounce and some moves wall splat. Which one you want depends on your combo, and it pays to go into the lab and see which one does which. There's a sadness mechanic that penalizes you from running away. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it does. I think it takes out meter, that you take more damage. I've only seen it in a real match once, so it's not too relevant. There's a bunch of other smaller mechanics like combo scaling and minimum damage values and stuff like that. But honestly, if you're just trying to learn the game right now, they're not too important. Let me know if you found this guide useful and if you'd like to see more in the future. I'm thinking of doing character guides with character-specific mechanics, strategies, and matchup advice. So keep an eye out for that in the future. With that, I'll leave you. This video is already long enough. I hope you have a great rest of your week and keep on hustling.